Before you buy a house, this is what you need to do.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no.
Hey everybody, Zach the Money Nutritionist here. Thanks for joining me for another video. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button below because I'm dropping content that's gonna help you to make healthy money decisions that hopefully make you more money. So let's jump right into what you need to know. And the reason I came up with this idea for this video is because I did a lunch today with some friends about starting real estate investing for them. And we went through a couple questions, had a couple answers, thought about some things we hadn't thought about before, and I wanted to share with you not only the top 2 concerns, but the one thing you really need to do before you ever pull the trigger on buying a rental property. So I say rental property because there's different types of real estate investing. You can do crowdsourcing for real estate, you have REITs for real estate, you can buy different styles of real estate, either in the States or somewhere else. So there's different types of real estate that you can dabble in when it comes to investments. But today I want to talk about what one thing you need to be aware of and do before you ever start buying real estate property that you plan to buy and rent out. Before I tell you what that is, let me mention what the top 2 concerns were that we discussed today. So the first concern when it comes to what you should do when you're investing into real estate and you plan on renting that property out, the number 1 concern that we discussed was the down payment amount. Because it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you're going to be putting down 20% on the property you're going to buy. And here in grand old Charlotte, where things are starting to get very expensive, $20K is a lot of money. To get anything reasonable, you're going to have to put down at least $50,000. And not everyone has $50,000 laying around for a 20% down payment. So that was concern number 1. But the answer to that is the fact that you don't need the full 20% down. What you can do is put down less money. For instance, if you have good credit and you make pretty good money, you can do a conventional loan and not have to put down 20%. You can do a conventional loan for as low as 3%. Now, granted, when you don't put down 20%, you have what's called a PMI, or an additional fee that goes along with your monthly mortgage. And that's for the fact that you didn't put down 20%. But eventually it goes away. So I want you to retool your mind that when you're thinking of buying a house, just know you don't have to put down 20%. And there's other loans where you can put down as low as 3.5%, and there's loans where you can put down 0. And if you've watched my videos, then you probably know which loan that is. So the next big concern after the down payment concern when it comes to real estate investing is that, do you really want to deal with issues? So this was the other big point. It actually is a pretty big pain point that when you're renting a house, there's going to be issues. Like inevitably, no matter how new your house is, there's going to be issues. Now, my point was this. Yes, there's issues, but they're manageable. Okay? So you can have an issue at the house, like a plumbing issue, or someone loses a key, or something's not working right. There's a handle coming off of a doorknob. Those are manageable. You can either do them yourself or you can have a handyman go fix them for 20 bucks just for the fact that you don't have to go over there. Those are manageable. But then you have the bigger issues to worry about. What if the roof leaks? What if water's getting in through the windows because the seals are broken and now you have mold that's growing in the house? What if it's 90 degrees outside and your air conditioner goes down and now you have to replace it and spend the money, and it's at a place that's out of town and you're on vacation so you can't get there? So there's all types of problems that can happen with the house. So here's what I would say to that concern. When it comes to buying a new piece of real estate and you're taking into account the concerns of what issues might happen, the thing you need to remember is when you're going through the process of buying a house, there's what's called a due diligence period where you're doing all your examinations of the home. That's termite checks, HVAC, electricity, plumbing, and your home inspector. During that period of time, you're finding out everything that's wrong with the house. And either you'll get a check for the amount to fix it once you get the house, or you can have the seller fix it. So the point is that when you do get a house, anytime you get a house, you should already have most of that stuff fixed. The problem occurs when you buy a house as is, which is what I just did. And I had a phone call today that said the HVAC system and all of the ductwork in the house is gonna cost $12,000 to fix. Now I've got an issue I have to deal with. So now I have to make more phone calls, try to get other quotes, and it's gonna become a minor headache and a pretty expensive problem. But if you're not buying a house as is, you can avoid that issue because you should be getting a check from the seller so that you can get a new HVAC system in my case here of what I'm dealing with. So the point is, when you get a house, if it's a new build or it's a house that's not being sold as is, you should either have the money to make the fixes or they should already be fixed when you get the house. So from the get-go, you should have minimal issues. Now, once you do have the house and you have multiple renters in and out and they're constantly using the house, yes, you'll have more problems that arise. They might stick stuff down in the toilet. They might break some windows. The sink's gonna start leaking in the kitchen. So now you have to ask yourself, what do I do about all these issues? Do I want to deal with that? And my answer is simple. This is a business. Any business that you start, there's going to be problems with customers. You're always going to have issues. You could get sued at any point in time for any business. And that's the risk you take on when you're trying to reach financial freedom or to make extra money. That risk is always going to be there. And quite frankly, if you're taking care of your property and you have the plumbers come out and do their work, you have electricians who do their work correctly, you have contractors who do their work correctly, so you have experts who are licensed doing the work, you can stop a lot of those issues before they happen. And then when they do happen, you just make a phone call and then have someone go fix them. I think we all have this built up in our minds that there's issues all the time, they're always expensive, and you always have to deal with them. No, they're not always expensive. You can have someone else deal with them, and then most of the time, I'm really not dealing with that many issues. So don't let that stop you from making extra money. And now that we've taken care of the down payment issue, and we've taken care of the potential issue of dealing with issues, what is that one thing that you need to do before you start buying real estate property for investment purposes? And I'm gonna tell you right now. But before I tell you, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button below. That's a little plug for you. It helps me out a lot and it helps me to reach more people, because if you think this is useful when you're still watching the video, then wouldn't you want more people to see the useful information? So if you don't mind, hit those buttons, and now here comes the fact you need. So what you need to do before you ever start buying real estate property, quite frankly, before you do anything when it comes to buying a house, you need to strategize. And I know it sounds trite, I know it sounds cliche, but it's so true, because this is why. During our conversation about real estate investing and all of the options we have on the table, you can't make any decision until you have the strategy of what your end goal is going to be. So until you know what the goal is you're shooting for, you can't make a decision. For example, we were discussing what options do you have for buying a home. You have multiple loan types. You can buy a home here in Charlotte, North Carolina, or at the beach, or you can do Airbnb strategies, or you could do what I do and rent room to room, or you could do regular rentals. You could buy houses for appreciation purposes. You could buy houses for cash flow purposes. You see what I'm getting at? There are way too many options that if you don't have a strategy, you're gonna be lost. You're gonna be like a dog watching cars and watching squirrels. You're just gonna be running around not knowing what to do. So the first thing you need to do is set up a strategy. Do you want to buy newer houses that don't have problems? Are you a handyman and you want to save money and make as much money as you can, so you'll do the fixes yourself and then you're going to rent it out? Do you want to do Airbnb because you know, hey, if I rent this out 8 to 12 days a month, my mortgage is paid for and I got a vacation home? Think about what you want. That's your strategy. What do you want? What is your goal? Do you just want 3 or 4 houses so they'll appreciate in value and you can buy a dream home? No matter what your goal is, what you need to decide is what you're shooting for. I don't care what it is. Make sure though that whatever it is, you can do it. And that's what I care about. So when it came to my decision personally, I chose to do a room-to-room renting method because quite frankly, I don't want to work forever. And I wanted the cash flow quickly. I wanted the cash flow so that I can either use that cash flow for something personal or I could keep reinvesting it and get more properties. And so in time, once I had enough cash flow, I could put all my focus on properties. So that's why I chose room to room, because that's maximizing the cash flow in my houses. That's my strategy. But as we discussed today, someone else's strategy might be, I want to buy houses in a place that's appreciating in value because I want to sit on my house, and as it appreciates, I can just take out that equity in the form of cash or a HELOC and buy other houses. And I want them to be in Charlotte because Charlotte's experiencing 7% growth every year, and houses are going to keep getting more and more expensive. That's a different strategy. And then the other guy we were at lunch with, he might want to go to Tampa Bay, Florida, or to a beach and get property where it's an Airbnb property. One, because vacation house, that's cool. Two, because in that industry, you only need to rent the place out 8 to 12 days. They're not destroying your home. And then once you're renting it out those 8 to 12 days, you've got your cash flow that's already covering your mortgage. And you can actually make a lot of money doing that. Other than that, you can do that strategy for Airbnbs anywhere in the world. So I thought that was a good idea. But you see what I'm getting at, is that you have so many options, you can't make a decision on what to do next until you've made a decision on what to do. It's going to be different for every single person. You need to sit down and figure out what is the best strategy for you and what your end goal is. Is your end goal to have financial freedom so that you have cash flow every single month where you don't have to work? Is the goal to work the job because you're already working something you love, but in 20 years you want to pay for your kids' college and you want to upgrade to a dream house? That strategy is different than my strategy. Or do you travel a lot and you want some Airbnb properties and you would love to own them outright 20, 30 years down the line? So Airbnb makes the most sense. So think through all of these steps when it comes to deciding what strategy is best for you. I hope you come to a good decision. If you have any questions about your strategy and what you think you should do based on the type of lifestyle you want, drop a comment down below, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. This is the Money Nutritionist, and I'm out.